So the situation at the Painted Tree has escalated from difficult decision to full financial collapse.
Here's the dirt on what's actually happening behind the scenes.
Do it, build it, make it with Kim and Garrett, make it.
LOL, the tea is hot, y'all, and I thought we should probably talk about it. If you woke up to that email from the Painted Tree Boutique saying we're closed forever, then you were probably a little shocked.
But if you've been paying attention to the empty booths and the bounce checks, you knew this was coming.
But honestly, this might be the best thing that's ever happened to your small business.
Guess where we're at? Oh, it's happening. It's happening.
For months, we've seen the booth sitting empty, high turnover, and a lot of complaints from makers about their marketing.
But that's because they're basically a real estate company, not a maker partner. Their goal was getting your $500 rent check every month. Your goal was making those $5,000 in sales.
And here lately, I'm not sure if your store looks like ours, but it was looking a little more like a flea market flip than an artisan market.
All right, that's it. It all fit in the back of the Tahoe. Man, we're like pros. Here's the dirt. Here's what they haven't told you.
So in late 2025, Painted Tree announced that they were offering ACH direct deposit, which is great. But as early as January 2026, there started to be some rumors where people weren't getting their payments. There were
Checks.
Yeah, bounced checks. And then the rumors started flying through the Facebook groups that this was really not so much of a technical glitch. This was more of a cash flow issue, which meant Painted Tree didn't have the money to pay their vendors. And a lot of people were saying that they were waiting on, or they were using these system issues to buy time while they looked for a buyer, or they came up with better cash flow options.
And I know that email said that you have until the 24th to get your stuff out, but I wouldn't guarantee you have until the 24th. I heard they're filing Chapter 7 bankruptcy, not Chapter 11. Chapter 11 allows you to restructure and pay some debts. Chapter 7 is liquidation. We're locking the doors and we're selling what we got to pay whoever. That's it. So there's a good chance that they have defaulted on those giant master leases for those 30,000 square foot spaces. And if those landlords haven't been getting paid, they're looking to lock the doors and protect their property.
Which means that they can, when they lock those doors, then they're trying to keep what's inside so that they can sell those items and recover some of those lost rent payments. So there's no guarantee that you'll be able to get into your building. And when we were there earlier today and talked to some of the skeleton crew that was there, they shared that the landlord or the building owner had already been in and taking pictures of the inside of the building and looking at what's in the building. So our three...
Well, I don't know what the landlord's actually going to get. Last time we were in there were so many empty booths. I don't know how they're actually making rent, because they only make rent. Painted Tree's business model means they have to keep 90% occupancy to actually make the rent payments on those giant 30 square foot spaces.
Now, if you've been in there recently, you've seen what we've probably seen, that there's been a big turnover. Now, I thought it was a seasonal turnover, but what happened, I think, is that people started leaving. And when people started leaving, then the foot traffic was less because there were fewer booths that were occupied. So people weren't coming back as often. And the fewer booths that are occupied, the less likely it is that Painted Tree was actually able to make rent on their master lease, which of course trickles down to us, and maybe why we were seeing some of those cash flow issues.
Well, I know we were looking at leaving because we saw so many empty booths. I was like, is the store dying? Should we pull out? So I'm sure as more and more people pulled out, it was harder and harder to try to make those rent payments. And then it was just a house of cards. And it must have collapsed.
So our biggest advice to you right now, your most immediate action is forget about getting paid. Your number one priority is to get your stuff out of the buildings. Make sure you go get your products go get your display booths because you're not sure when they're going to lock those doors. Secondly, you want to make sure that you go in and you download your customer data, because with total liquidation, we're not sure how long that sales system, that application that they're using, if they're not paying rent on the buildings, and they're probably not paying in their systems people, so you're not sure how long that server is actually going to be up and how long you'll be able to access that data. So go download your data immediately. And if customers start asking, or people start asking because they knew you were a vendor, a lot of people might want to exchange or return something. That certainly isn't happening now.
And if they have a gift card, they are out of luck.
Yeah, if they have a gift card, the answer is they're not worth anything. They can no longer transact business, so they can't cash in those gift cards. We can also talk about the real estate versus retail gap. Now, if you think about it, the Painted Tree's real customer was not the people coming in the door, it's the vendors. They're looking to have that 90% occupancy rate, so they want to make sure that they have vendors in the door and they have their booth spaces filled. They didn't care so much about the foot traffic coming in, because those sales were actually coming back to you, the vendors. So they were mostly concerned about occupancy. They were less concerned about marketing, which is why you were hearing a lot of those marketing complaints in the Painted Tree Facebook groups and all the vendor groups. People were really complaining that Painted Tree wasn't doing enough marketing. Well, they weren't doing enough marketing because they wanted you to do the marketing, which not everyone is ready to do that kind of marketing. A lot of the people at the Painted Tree, if you look at some of the booths, this is their first opportunity into retail sales. They were just starting a side hustle, starting to say, hey, I do like to make things. Let's see if I can sell them here. They don't have an established audience. Now for us, that was a little bit less of an issue because we did have a large local presence here in our Richmond area. So we were able to market some of our products, and we had the skills and we had the experiences to do some of those marketing ads. But a lot of the new makers didn't have those skills. And if you did learn those skills and you took the time to understand how to run a Facebook ad, and you spent that $100 to get those clients to come into the Painted Tree, that's what they were doing. You got them to walk into the retail sales and actually get into the Painted Tree.
You just spent all that money for the Painted Tree. Not necessarily for you. Somebody might be there for you, but might find that sock booth before they find your booth. Find their socks, forget why they're there, check out, and that's it. They're probably not coming back.
Well, they are coming back to the Painted Tree. It was a fun place to shop, but were they necessarily going to find you? I mean, they might have found me because I happened to have a booth right up front. I was like A2, I think was my booth number, or A3, something like that.
You got lucky because we got in early.
Yes. But if you were in a back corner, how many booths did they pass? They passed another 100 booths before they ever got to your booth. So even if your ad brought them in the front door, they weren't necessarily buying from you directly.
I mean, that's like if you're on Etsy and you buy an ad sending them to your Etsy store. How many different Etsy people are they going to see while they're on Etsy on your dime?
And the other thing we started to notice here lately, and I didn't know how big of a deal this was, but looking back, I think this is a little bit of a challenge as well, is that when Painted Tree first opened, especially 2 years ago when we started at the Painted Tree, we were looking at the Painted Tree as kind of an artisan market. So and I would describe it that way. Mm-hmm. I first started describing
a craft boutique.
Yes, a craft boutique. But what started to happen, and I think that's because Painted Tree had to fill those vendor spaces.
They needed that 90% occupancy.
They didn't really care about the artisans so much as let's get this booth rented. So what you started to see is a lot of those Alibaba
booths
pop up where people were selling $2 trinkets, and you were trying to sell products that you had
handcrafted items.
Yeah, that you had put your time and effort into, and you're trying to sell them at a price point that meets artisan craftsmanship. And they were again trying to sell $2 keychains.
It's like setting up your craft booth at a swap meet.
Yeah.
But I think I mean, like I said, I compared it to Etsy before, and the same problem with Etsy is they're keeping the gold. They're keeping all that customer data, right? You don't get all of the customer data. How much data do you actually get back?
Well, you don't. So as people check out, as they register for email lists, Painted Tree keeps that marketing information so that they can retarget them and bring them back into the Painted Tree building. But they have the customer data. They're sending out the emails. They're advertising the events that they were having. But you weren't able.
It's not your newsletter.
Yeah.
It's
you weren't
not your
able to,
retargeting. Yeah.
You weren't able to advertise your business. So you weren't able to say, hey, I'm having a sale, or hey, I have a new product line, or some new product that I want to offer. You weren't able to let them get to know your business directly. You were just part of 150 makers in a building.
So now we know what's happening. What's next? Solution number 1, own your own land, the digital version.
The best booth is actually your own store, your own Shopify store. We did a video on this not too long ago, why we left Etsy and why we recommend a Shopify store. We'll put the link above. But if you own your own storefront, you're not going to get locked out, and you own your own data. Once you are able to set up your own store, you can add it your own products. You get to decorate it how you want. It gets to have all the flash and the frills, and you can make it as cute as you want it to be. And typically your Shopify store is going to be cheaper than your booth rent than you were paying at the Painted Tree anyway. And once the customer actually gets to your digital store, guess what? They're only seeing your products, so they're not shopping 150 other vendors.
Solution number 2, direct connect. Double down on your local markets and your pop-ups. Get to know your customers and your community face to face.
Yes, this is your opportunity to talk to them one-on-one. They get to know you, you get to know them. Collect those email addresses, because you know what? They've purchased from you, and they like your products. So you have the opportunity to retarget them and share more of your products. They like what you offer. When you have a new product, share it with them. When Christmas time is coming, remind them that you're out there. Let them know where you're going to be. Hey, I have a new event out here, over there. Come and see me over here. I can't tell you how many relationships we've built just from craft shows and people coming to see us. Shout out Kay. She started seeing us 3 years ago, just met us at a pop-up booth, and she probably had seen us. She said she had seen us on YouTube, but we really got to know her. And if you're part of the maker community, you've seen her in our Made It and Master It Tier calls. You just build these relationships over time. And that's just a great way to build that community and get to know people face to face.
Solution number 3, social media. This is free. This is free marketing. This is the first time in my lifetime that I've been able to get in front of millions of eyes and bring my products to them.
The great thing about social media, again, is another way to build that relationship with them. Show them your workshop. I know it's a mess. Ours is a mess. I'm glad you can't see everything behind this camera right now. It's even a bigger mess.
Bigger.
But show them your process. People love to see how you make the products that you're making. I love to see somebody else's workshop. I know it's a mess. It makes me feel better about the mess that I have. We can all relate to one another. And you can show them the products that you're offering as you're building new things. Maybe you just have a new magnet in your store. They hadn't seen it, but it's something they were interested in. They might seek you out and come and find you again.
And any mad ad money that you spend is going to direct them towards your products. You're not sending them to the mall. You're not sending them to Etsy. And they're definitely not going to see 150 other booths if they click on your link.
They're connecting with you and they're seeing your products.
The takeaway here is I want you to feel empowered, not evicted. The Painted Tree is over, not your talent.
It's time to stop paying someone else's mortgage and start investing in your own platform. Now go get your stuff, get your data, and let's get back to work.
If you're a maker who's been affected by the Painted Tree closing, leave your store link in the comments down below so that we can build a directory of small businesses that we can actually support.
And a big thanks to our Make It Mafia. If you're part of the Make It Mafia, especially the Master Tier, you've already heard all of this stuff that we've put in today's video.
We know you love to do it, build it, and make it.
And we're here to help you sell it.
Hell yeah.